Picture a winter night in England, the year 1547. Snow blankets the countryside of Bedfordshire, muffling the world beneath its cold white shroud. But inside the stone walls of Bletsoe Castle, silence is shattered by a scream. A girl's scream, sharp, desperate, unending. It cuts through the howling. Wind like a blade through silk, in a chamber lit only by trembling candlelight. Lady Margaret Beaufort lies writhing on a blood-soaked bed. She is only 13 years old. Her body, still that of a child, convulses under waves of pain that no child should ever know. Midwives crowd around her, whispering prayers in hurried Latin, their faces pale and drawn as shadows dance across the walls. They fear the worst. The baby is too large. Her hips are too narrow. Her body is not finished growing. Many girls do not survive this. Outside, snow continues to fall. Inside, history is being torn into the world. Margaret's hair clings to her sweat-soaked face as another agonizing contraction seizes her. She is fading. The midwives exchange glances. They believe she is dying. Yet somehow, impossibly, she survives. And from this fragile, broken child is born a son who will one day sit upon the throne of England. Henry Tudor, a child born of suffering, who will end the Wars of the Roses and found the Tudor dynasty, shaping the course of English and world history. The irony is unbearable. A boy born from the brink of death will bring an age of power, conquest, quest, and transformation. Before we journey deeper into these forgotten stories of survival and sacrifice, take a moment to consider how many such lives were lost to history, unheard and unseen. If uncovering the hidden truths of the past fascinates you, remember that these stories connect us across centuries, across borders. Bound by curiosity and memory, the girl on that bed was no ordinary noble maiden. Lady Margaret Beaufort carried royal blood in her veins, the blood of John of Gaunt, Duke of Lancaster, son of Edward III. That lineage gave her immense value in a kingdom tearing itself apart. But royal blood, as Margaret would learn over and over again, was as much a curse as it was a blessing. In 15th century England, bloodlines were weapons. They could elevate you to power or mark you for destruction. The Wars of the Roses loomed. On the horizon, a brutal struggle between rival branches of the royal family. In this world, Margaret was not a child. She was a prize. Her path to that night of agony began long before she could understand it. Margaret was born in the spring of 1443 at Bletsoe Castle to John Beaufort, Duke of Somerset, and Margaret Beauchamp. Her father was a man already haunted by failure. He had commanded English forces in France during the final years of the 100 Years' War. Watching helplessly as the empire built by Henry V collapsed piece by piece, those losses broke him. Courtiers later recalled his hollow eyes, his trembling hands, the way he spoke less and less, though words themselves had betrayed him. In 1444, he was found dead in his chambers at Wimborne Minster. Officially, the cause was illness. Unofficially, many believed he had taken his own life. Others whispered of poison. In that age, every sudden noble death bred suspicion. Whatever the truth, Margaret was not yet a year old when her father died, leaving her a wealthy orphan in a dangerous world. Her mother understood the rules of survival. In a society where women were currency and children were contracts, Margaret's future had to be secured early. At just 6 years old, she was betrothed to John de la Pole, son of the powerful Duke of Suffolk. The alliance promised protection and influence, but politics moved faster than childhood. Suffolk fell from favor after negotiating the controversial marriage between King Henry VI and Margaret of Anjou, along with the surrender of key French territories. England erupted. In fury, Suffolk was arrested, exiled, and then murdered in one of the most brutal killings of the age. Dragged from his ship while crossing the Channel, he was forced to kneel and was hacked to death with a blunt sword. His body was left floating in the sea with his fall. Margaret's first betrothal became meaningless. Her next marriage was arranged swiftly. It would change history forever. She was wed to Edmund Tudor, Earl of Richmond. Edmund was the half-brother of King Henry VI. born from the secret marriage of Catherine of Valois, widow of Henry V, to a Welsh courtier named Owen Tudor. The Tudors were outsiders, viewed with suspicion by England's old nobility. But they possessed something far more powerful than ancient lineage. They had the king's favor. Margaret was 12 when she married Edmund. Then a year she was pregnant. Then tragedy struck. Again. Edmund Tudor was captured during political unrest in Wales and died of illness while imprisoned. Margaret, still a child, was left widowed and pregnant, surrounded by enemies and uncertainty. Her body was not ready for childbirth, yet there was no mercy in this world for girls born into power. That winter night nearly killed her, though she survived. The damage was permanent. Margaret would never bear another child. The pain of that birth stayed with her for the rest of her life, both physically and emotionally. Yet, she devoted herself completely to the son she had nearly died bringing into the world. Henry Tudor became her purpose, her obsession, her weapon against fate. England descended into chaos. The Wars of the Roses erupted, pitting Lancaster against York in a blood-soaked struggle for the crown. Margaret navigated this brutal landscape with remarkable intelligence and patience. She married again, forging alliances, hiding her ambitions behind piety and obedience. While kings rose and fell, she endured. Her son was forced into exile. Living for years across the Channel, hunted and unwanted, Margaret worked tirelessly in the shadows, securing support, manipulating loyalties, and waiting for the moment when fortune would turn. She survived regimes that would have destroyed a weaker woman. She outlived enemies who underestimated her. And finally, in 1485, her son returned. Henry Tudor defeated Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field, ending decades of civil war. He claimed the crown as Henry VII, uniting the warring houses and founding the Tudor dynasty. Margaret Beaufort, once a dying child in a candlelit chamber, became the most powerful woman in England after the king himself. Her life was shaped by suffering, survival, and relentless will. She never forgot the pain that brought her son into the world, nor the brutal system that demanded it. Yet she mastered that system, bending it to her purpose. History often remembers kings and battles, forgets the girls who paid the price for dynasties. Margaret Beaufort's scream echoed through stone corridors long ago, but its consequences reshaped England forever, and in that echo, we are reminded that behind every crown lies blood, sacrifice, and stories history almost allowed to fade into silence.